Okay, this is part 2 of the 2A notes on basic trig ratios. The first one we ended with these different equations and these different relationships between the trig functions. So how do we remember these? The best way is a mnemonic device called SOHCAHTOA. Okay, and basically what that means is the SO is S is for sine, the O is for opposite, the H is hypotenuse. Okay, so that'll help you remember which ones go with which. The cosine is the adjacent over the hypotenuse, A over H, AH, and the tangent then is going to be opposite over adjacent. Sometimes people will write it like this. They'll say sine, and then they'll just put OH. Some people can see it this way a little bit better, going across like this. Okay, totally up to you. Main thing is you have to know how to use them. So let's look at this first example here. They're asking me in this first one to look at angle D. Okay, so angle D is this little acute one down here. And so I'm going to base everything off of that angle. So I'm going to label H, O, and A based on this angle. So H is the hypotenuse, opposite 90. Opposite that, going across that leg over here, is the opposite, which is 9. And that leaves the leg that's right next to it or adjoined to it. That is the adjacent leg. Okay, so now we have sine of D. So sine is opposite over hypotenuse. All I have to do is take those numbers. Opposite is 9. Hypotenuse is 41. And I'm done. That's my ratio. Cosine of D. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. So that ratio is going to be 40 over 41. So again, I'm just plugging in those things I've already identified. And the tangent of angle D, tangent is opposite over adjacent. Opposite is 9. The adjacent is 40. I have written my ratios for that triangle. Now let's take a look. It's the same triangle. However, this time they want us to look at angle E, which is this one up here. Let's identify H, O, and A. So the H is, again, going to be the hypotenuse over here. If I'm looking at this angle, coming across, this is the opposite leg from this angle. This is the adjacent leg for this angle. So once I've done that, I've identified those three pieces, then these fractions or ratios will be pretty easy. So sine is opposite over hypotenuse. So opposite on this one is 40. Hypotenuse is 41. Cosine of angle E is adjacent over hypotenuse. Adjacent is 9. Hypotenuse is 41. And the tangent of angle E, the tangent is opposite over adjacent. And those are the ratios for angle E. Okay, I'm just going to put those SOHCAHTOA, down here so I can keep track of it. Okay, so on here they want us to identify again the H, O, and A, and then write the ratio for the one they're asking about. So they say angle A here, so that's the one I'm going to base my H, O, and A on. So H is the hypotenuse, that's 34. The side opposite angle A is the 16, that's an O, and that makes this one the adjacent right next to it. So the cosine of angle A, cosine is adjacent, 30, over hypotenuse, 34. 30, 34. Next one, we're going to do the same process. So angle C is what we're talking about, so I'm going to mark angle C so I know. Then I'm going to mark H, O, and A. So H is the easiest one to start with, that's the hypotenuse. The next one going around is going to be the opposite, and the one right next to it is the adjacent. Tangent of angle C is going to be opposite over adjacent, so 27 over 36. Now some people would have you reduce those fractions. It really doesn't matter to what that we are going to be doing. Okay, stop the video and try this last one on this page by yourself. So we're going to go to sine of z. So angle z, I identify my H, O, and A. Again, H is easy, at least I think, across from the 90. Just keep going, the O, the opposite that angle, and then the adjacent. Sine of angle z, sine is opposite and hypotenuse. Opposite is 30, hypotenuse is 50. I've written my equation. All right, that's it for part 2. Coming back for 3.